What's up, everybody? I'm Kali Sudbrook from Beachside Custom Gyms. Today, we're here at CCP headquarters, or Chase Cameron Performance. He's an old buddy of mine that we go way back, and this was a very special build because 3 projects ago, we said that we would be doing this project, and it happened. I'm so pumped to walk you through it. One of Chase's requests for this space was to give it a clean, modern, timeless look. And so I think we achieved that by giving it this color block that goes all the way around in both of the spaces that gives it sort of a nod to that classic timeless look that you see in basketball courts with that color block. And so we used his colors, blue, gray, and black, to achieve that. All right, so in this space, there were quite a few challenges. Number one being the space is somewhat long and very narrow, and we're sharing a wall with the neighbor. And so in this space, being a strength and conditioning facility for athletes, we're doing a lot of med ball throws against this wall, which is a concrete wall. The problem is that the sound reverberates through the ceiling into the neighboring and adjoining wall, which poses a bit of a problem. So we were tasked with creating some sort of sound deadening wall for med ball slams. And I thought, what a good opportunity to use this as a dual purpose by branding it and making it a step and repeat wall so that athletes can stand here after their session and take photos with the coach or with each other. And so the cool thing about this wall is it's actually completely floating. So this is actually not attached to the wall other than resilient channels, which basically pull it off of the wall, create an air gap. And so within that air gap, we put foam boards for insulation. Then we sandwich mass-loaded vinyl in between 2 sheets of plywood, and then finally put these branded custom felt pads over the top. So we have multiple layers of sound deadening material. So we were able to take it from 90 decibels to about 70 to 75 decibels, which is not super, super impressive, but it does make that punchiness of the slap of a medicine ball against the wall a lot softer. One really cool feature about this gym that we decided to do is instead of using your traditional plate-loaded pulley system, I opted to go with an Encore, and the reason why is because Chase, the head coach, is trying to do power-based movements for athletes, which you cannot do with plate-loaded cable equipment, or you could, but it would just be really clunky and feel weird. So with the Encore, you can do really smooth power-based movements, rotational movements, and you can use it as your traditional bodybuilding type cable pieces as well. So it serves a dual purpose, and you can move them all up and down the rack without having to break pulleys, and we've all been there, done that, where it snaps on you. These are super resilient and they're super versatile. So this basketball hoop was a feat of engineering, but you know what? We made it a slam dunk. And so what I mean by this is we had to get this pretty heavy duty basketball hoop up on the wall, on a wall that only has a couple feet of framing on either side of a very large span of window. This wall proved to be a feat of engineering. So with a large span window right above it, it's an 8-foot window, and only a couple of studs on either side, what we had to do is go to the back of the wall up in the office upstairs and run spans of 2x8s from wall to wall, so that gave us the backing to put this hoop on. Now, it even says in the instructions for this hoop that you're not really allowed to hang on it. It is a breakaway rim. However, just getting it on this wall, we had to make sure that it was strong and sturdy and safe for the athletes that train in here. Another safety feature that I chose to do for this space in particular, especially with youth athletes, is putting these wall pads on these columns. And so this area is a turf area for running, sprinting, drills, all that sort of a thing. And I just thought, man, wouldn't that suck to be running by and doing some sort of drill and smack into this column because you get disoriented for whatever reason. So we put pads on both columns. I color matched them the best I could with seeing it online to the paint that was existing. So really, they just kind of blend in and you don't even notice that they're there. So the lights in this area, which we call the bullpen, were a huge, huge change because at first when we got into this space, the lights were all hodgepodge, all over the place. The joist spans were all funky and the lights were just plugged in, all hodgepodge. It was terrible. And they were old and crusty and acrylic lenses. So we took those out completely and we opted, because we wanted to maintain the ceiling height in here, but still put in new lights to some extent, we opted for very, very thin linear flush mount fixtures because I didn't want to sacrifice with the height in case we're doing overhead pressing motions over here. However, I did want to make sure that the lights were in line for all of these rows. They looked pretty, they looked new and fresh and clean. So you might be wondering why we use two different squat racks in this space, and it's actually very intentional. And the reason being is we have a turf area here for drills, like I already mentioned. On this side, it was all the rubber flooring for weighted equipment, dumbbells, barbells, things like that. But we wanted one large rack to sort of be like a dual purpose or multifunctional piece where you've got the jammer here on one side where you can do explosive type work. And then inside the rack, if someone were out here doing, let's say, a pull, someone in theory could still technically use the inside of the squat rack to do squats or deadlifts or whatever. We've also got this area over here that we wanted wide open to do any sort of landmine exercises, deadlifts, anything like that. And so over here, there's just not quite enough room. So we thought, let's stagger this, bring it back just a little bit. And then we can also use this as a dual purpose for the Anchor cables so that there's lots of room to step out and do lateral work or come out here and do pulling. So in that sense, this area right here with the two different squat racks is a multi-purpose, multifunctional area. Okay, I know no one cares about the bathrooms, but honestly, they were bad. The interior walls were like a smoke-stained yellow. They were terrible. So we just opted, let's just repaint it all. We'll make it dark and moody, and we put a nice little touch down here in the corner. So if you've made it this far, you can tell that we actually just completely redid basically every single aspect of this space. So Beachside Custom Gyms, we do both home gyms and we do commercial build outs. And if you're in the position where you need one or the other, or maybe you want both, let me just tell you, we're here for the assist. Before we leave, one last thing that we did. Look at how cool this wall looks. But over here, we did a recovery zone. And so inside, we made this a complete recovery zone for athletes. We've got the Normatec boots, we've got chairs here for them to relax, foam rollers in the corner, and a sauna.